It's time for Law in Our Life. That means we have Hyunju here in the studio with us. Hello, Hyunju.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Still kind of worried about what's going on right now, that Itaewon Club cluster infection.
Yeah.
But, I understand we've got something pretty interesting to talk about, kind of dramatic.
Yes.
And I'm excited about it. But before we get into that, just quickly for our listeners, could you introduce yourself again?
Sure. Hello, listeners. I'm Hyunju-an, a lawyer practicing law in Gwangju. I have 2 licenses, one from Korea and the other from Connecticut, U.S.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm one of the lawyers who can understand both legal systems and help expats in Korea.
All right. Very good. And, we appreciate it. Now, what is our subject for today?
So today's subject is, what if I have to appear at the police office as a suspect?
Ooh, cue the dramatic music. Dun, dun, dun. Now, I'm lucky. I've never had to do that. But I'm sure it happens, and it must be a scary situation. Mm-hmm. What happens?
So, if you are summoned by the police for the interrogation, what should you do?
I'll call my lawyer.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, that's the best answer.
Yeah. I mean, not everyone has a lawyer, though, right? But, that sounds like what a lawyer is for, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The one last thing is not to show up at all.
That's no good?
No.
I can't boycott it?
No.
Mm-hmm.
If you cannot make it, you can just ask for a rescheduling.
Mm-hmm.
But you cannot avoid attending the interrogation at all.
Uh-huh.
If you refuse to attend, the police may perceive that you have a high probability of fleeing, mm-hmm. which means that you will not appear and you will escape.
Mm-hmm.
So they may arrest or detain you to secure your person.
All right. So, I think in North America, if the police say, come with us, we have questions, you can say no. And if they want you to come, they have to arrest you. And then you might be entitled to certain rights, or you might be able to get your lawyer involved or something like that. Is it similar here?
Oh, yeah, that's similar.
Okay.
What I was talking about is more like the police calls to you, like via phone, and says, hello, somebody accused you for a certain crime, so you need to show up for the interrogation.
Okay. But it's important that I show up.
Yes.
Because if I don't, they might arrest me.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. So now, I know that I need to go to the police for my interrogation. What's next?
So when you are up for the police interrogation, I advise you to meet the lawyer before and not after the interrogation, mm-hmm. since the first interrogation will be a critical event for your case.
Okay.
So during the meeting, you can seek advice for how to present your case and learn the weakness of your argument or your defense.
Get my story straight.
Yes. Even though you believe you are not responsible for the crime, sometimes it's not a wise choice to argue that you are innocent if there is clear evidence such as witness or CCTV recording.
Uh-huh.
Or with the help of lawyer, you can collect evidence that are in favor of you, such as KakaoTalk messages, recording, pictures, and so on. Uh-huh. And you can prepare and submit them to the police during your first interrogation session.
Okay. To make them less interested in you.
Yes.
Okay.
Also, you can give some names and contacts of your friends who can speak for your case.
Ooh, I'm not sure if I would want to do that. I feel like some of my friends might end up speaking against me. But, this sounds pretty smart. Figure out what you're going to go say to them. And it's nice to assume that I believe I'm not responsible, but, maybe you are responsible, right? Maybe you got in a fight with somebody and you know that you hit this guy. Or, maybe you were in a car accident and you know you were in the wrong, but still, you should talk to your lawyer first and figure out how to keep yourself out of bigger trouble, right?
Sure.
All right. So what's next? Tell me about the interrogation.
So during the interrogation, you should know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. It sounds very easy, but in reality, it is not.
Uh-huh.
The transcript of the suspect that are made during the police interrogation can be later used against the person when he is a person. Sorry. Mm-hmm. I think I should repeat this part again.
Sure, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So I'll just start from like during. Yeah. Okay. So during the interrogation, you should know what you're talking about. It sounds very simple, but it's not in reality. The transcript of a suspect that are made during the police interrogation can be later used against you unless there is violation of due process, such as any coercive interrogation or it caused involuntary confession.
So they can't hit me with a phone book?
No.
Okay, that's good to know.
And or the person you denies your statements. Even though the such statement is not admissible as evidence to prove the crime in those cases, it can be still used as evidence to impeach the credibility of the charged person if certain conditions are met. So therefore, it's crucial to know the butterfly effect of your responses to the interrogation. If you can remember certain facts without doubt, you'd better say, I don't remember. However, if it's something that bears material significance in your case, like your whereabouts on the day of the crime, you may want to check your calendar before you meet the investigator and give the correct answer from the very start.
Okay.
And don't confuse them.
Sure. Do I have the right to refuse to answer a question?
Sure.
Okay. All right.
But it also bears the possibility that it can give them a kind of impression that you're trying to hide something.
Oh, sure. But maybe you are trying to hide something.
Yeah.
Right? We shouldn't always assume that this person's innocent.
Yeah.
I imagine most of the time the police call somebody down for an interrogation. It's probably for a good reason.
Yep.
All right. So how should I answer? How should I speak to the police?
One golden rule is that your answer should be clear and consistent. If your answers are inconsistent and do not make sense, it will be all recorded in the transcript and can be later used to impeach the credibility of you.
All right. Now, let's also talk about answers because, I'm a Wegukin. What if I don't understand the questions?
So if you do not speak Korean, the police-appointed interpreter will be there for you.
Okay.
So
tell me about that.
You don't have to worry about that part. And during the interrogation, they will first inform you of the Miranda warnings before the session. The police will inform you that you have right to remain silent, and they will explain that anything you say can be used against you in the court proceedings, and you have a right to refuse to answers, and that will not be any disadvantage to you. And also will tell you about your right to a counsel.
Okay. I don't get a free lawyer or something like that, though, right? Not just for an interrogation.
Yeah, you can get a free lawyer later in the court hearing stage, but for this investigative stage, you will not have a right for a free lawyer yet. And
maybe I'd like to get a lawyer at this point.
Yeah.
So I don't need to go down to that court phase.
Yes.
Okay. What kind of things are the cops going to ask me?
It can be a kind of like cultural thing from here because the police will ask you some personal information, such as like your date of birth, address, phone number, but not limited to that, but will also look into your education, religion, financial situations.
Oh.
So I met some clients who says like they find it very uncomfortable answering those questions, and they ask me why the police ask me such personal questions.
Sure.
When it doesn't look like have any relevance to my case. One thing is those questions do not specifically target you or it's just for you, but it's just a part of a boilerplate preliminary questions that they ask for everybody.
Okay.
So if you do not feel comfortable, you may refuse to answer or say, I don't know, I do not want to answer. But the police might find it uncooperative, as most Koreans are willing to answer those like easy questions without any problem.
Okay. So maybe better to play along.
Yeah, so it can be you can just understand it's a cultural thing and move on.
All right. What's after that?
Then the police will ask you about the crime itself, like what you did, why you did it, and the compensation of the damage if you paid back to the victim.
All right.
At the very end, the police may ask you whether you have anything that you want to add at the last part. you can talk about the facts in favor of you or give the names of people who can speak for you at that part.
Okay, very good. And now, you mentioned the transcript earlier. Can you tell me about that?
Yes. Usually during the interrogation, the investigator is typing it on his computer at the same time. So when the session ends, he will just print out the transcript he typed and will hand it to you for your review.
Okay.
So you can take as much time you want to review it with your interpreter to confirm that the transcript is true to what you have told them. So after your confirmation, you will be asked to sign on the signature part at the very end and stamp each page with your thumb.
Okay.
So it's a kind of method to prevent anyone from replacing the past pages or forging the transcript.
I see. All right. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Well, thank you for putting me at ease if I ever have to undergo an interrogation with the police. I really hope I never do. And we can look at this online, right?
Yes. The case status can be checked online later, or you can just call the police and ask for an update. Because usually it takes a few months until the case is transferred to the prosecutor's office and later to the court. So you might need to be patient.
Okay, I understand. That's all the time we have. Now, this is also available online, our segment, right?
Yes. You can find the segment on video at my YouTube channel. You can find me by searching Korean Law 101 on YouTube. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure.